I love the N64. I mean, it's just one of the best systems that ever came out, and it's honestly a huge part of my childhood as well. Now, that being said, they finally put the N64 on the Nintendo Switch with the expansion pack over the last couple days, and there's been a lot of talk about this. I've heard a lot of people say things like unplayable, ruined, disgusting. But truth be told, the Switch Online, the N64 Switch Online, it's actually, it's a lot of fun. And I wouldn't say it's any of those things. Is it going to be the exact same experience it was when you were 12 years old? Of course it's not going to be exactly the same. These games have aged a little bit, and the control is a little bit different now, unless somehow you're able to secure the, the fancy N64 controller that sold out within like 2 minutes online. But honestly, whether you're playing it on with the N64 controller or the Switch controller, all of these games are still really good games. Are completely playable on Nintendo Switch. So I figure we do a tier list to see exactly where I rank these games, S to D on here for all the N64 games included on Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. Alright, first we have Dr. Mario 64, and I'm not going to lie, I love Dr. Mario 64. To me, it is one of the absolute best versions of Dr. Mario. I grew up with Dr. Mario on the NES, and of course we had it on the eventually on the Game Boy and the SNES. But to me, Dr. Mario 64 was sort of the perfection of all of those things, because you finally got a story mode, you got different multiplayer modes, and it was actually a really challenging game when it came to that. It wasn't, I mean, the first one was challenging as well, but this one went above and beyond the story mode of being a very hard and a very challenging game. And to me, Dr. Mario 64 is like the absolute perfect puzzle game. And so there's no other place to put Dr. Mario, for me, than the S tier. Now keep in mind, all of these are just my rankings. If you disagree, let me know in the comments down below. But to me, Dr. Mario 64 is definitely an S tier game. And I can't wait to play more of the multiplayer online with it as well. Next up we have Ocarina of Time, or Zelda 64. And this is one that a lot of people have complained about, and especially there's like a screenshot on Twitter comparing the footage of the original N64 of the like the GameCube version and the Switch version, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, look at the water, it's so bad. And yeah, that one scene in the game looks sort of bad, but truth be told, I played through a decent bit of Ocarina of Time, and it looked really great on the Switch. I had no issues with it. The controls are a little bit different, especially for the C buttons, but like, I don't know, 20 minutes into the game, if you play around for a little bit, you got down pat. I mean, it's really not that much different. It's pretty easy to get used to. And so to me, Ocarina of Time, I mean, we all know where this game is going, especially since I think it did pretty well on the, transfer over. So Ocarina of Time is definitely going to also be an S tier game. Now I promise all of these games are not going to be S tier, it just simply happen to be the first two games so far. I say that because our next game, Mario Kart 64, is definitely also going to be an S tier game. I can't help it. Mario Kart 64 is the pinnacle of all the Mario Kart games. To me, this is the one I grew up playing the most. This is the one I actually try to do speed runs on. This is the last of the Mario Kart series that you actually could, I guess, glitch out to a large degree and make a lot of shortcuts inside the game that made a huge difference on that. And so Mario Kart 64 is just a great racing game. And the speedrun community, my gosh, they've done some crazy stuff on this game to make all these shortcuts happen. But when it comes to time trials, Grand Prix, multiplayer, this is Mario Kart. This is the absolute best. I mean, the other ones are fine, and I really did like the new one on the Switch as well. That was fun too. But to me, this is the absolute best. And if anybody plays Mario Kart 64 still, let me know in the comments section down below. And with that, I'll be more than happy to race some people online on Mario Kart 64, bring back some old school competition. All right, next we have Mario Tennis. Now Mario Tennis, once again, this is one of the best Mario Tennis games that are out there. Now, I haven't played all of them, so I have to admit that, but I did play Mario Tennis a great bit growing up. There was one time playing this game, we rented it when it first came out, and I played it for so long, literally one of my fingers went numb from holding the joystick, or the N64 controller, the Z button. I mean, that's dedication to Mario Tennis on that. But is it an S tier game? This is the first game that's going to sort of break our trend here. Mario Tennis is not going to be an S tier game. Mario Tennis to me is a solid A. Still a great game. Next up is Sin and Punishment. Now this is a game that wasn't even released in the United States. It was a import only. I think they did put it on like the Virtual Console for either like the Wii or the Wii U or something like that. That may sound familiar. I didn't play it on that, so this is the first time I've ever played Sin and Punishment, and honestly, it's a pretty fun game. Very arcadey, but the controls on the Switch, I mean, they felt very natural. This is probably one of the best controlling games I think that transferred over, and possibly being because I had no muscle memory of the old game on the N64. It was just simply a brand new game to me. I played through a good bit of it. It's, like I said, very arcadey. I didn't get too far into the storyline of sorts, so I don't know exactly how well the story develops and things like that. But it's a fun game. It reminds me a little bit of Star Fox with the action. But Sin and Punishment, not a bad game. I simply don't have the nostalgia for it, so we're going to put it at a solid B ranking. Alright, along the same lines as Sin and Punishment, we have Star Fox 64. Now this one, I do have a ton of memories with. It's just a great game. I played through it so many times as a kid, mainly the one-player mode on there, because let's be honest, nobody liked the multiplayer on Star Fox. And if you say you like the multiplayer, you're probably just lying to yourself, because it wasn't fun, and you know it wasn't fun. And I can only imagine playing it online when people aren't even in the same room as you. It's even less fun. But doesn't matter. The single player mode of this game is absolutely fantastic. You get to play through multiple missions, of course, dividing it up depending on your score, different exits, things like that. So much replayability within the single player mode. You can, of course, unlock expert mode on that as well. I think you even get to be like Fox McCloud's dad at the end of it as well once you get to multiplayer. I'm sorry, once you get to expert mode. I think that's how it worked. I know you get to play as his dad one way or the other. It has a cool aviator sunglasses. We know the look. But Star Fox 64, I have a lot of fond memories of it, and to me, even though the multiplayer is complete trash, the single player makes up for it, so it's a solid A game right there with Mario Tennis. Next up, we have Super Mario 64, and we all know where this one's going. This is definitely an S-tier game, because this is just a wonderful experience and a wonderful game, start to finish, collecting all the stars, and I recommend collecting all of them, because this is sort of a completionist game to me. You go through the entire game, and you have so much fun that you actually want to do everything inside the game. This was the first game we got on the N64 back in 6th grade, and so this to me is what sort of epitomizes the N64, and there's just really no better platform on the system. I mean, Banjo-Kazooie came really close, very close to beating it, or at least tying it. But Super Mario 64 is an S-tier game, and it's one of the all-time greatest games of all time. I guess that's why it's all time. All time. Next up is Winback. Now, Winback, this is particular one of the games that people said was unplayable on Nintendo Switch, and I don't think so. I think it played pretty well. I mean, I didn't have it growing up. We rented it growing up, and so I did play it a decent bit, but the muscle memory wasn't there as much, so the new controls wasn't that bad to relearn on the Nintendo Switch, and it's still a fun game. I mean, is it the best shooter on the N64? Of course not. There are a lot of other great shooter games on the N64. You had GoldenEye, you had the Turok series, Perfect Dark. I mean, there are a lot of great shooter games, and so Winback, to me, is not the best. I know a lot of people say it's a hidden gem, and it is a fun game, and I think it plays fine on the Switch, but to me, it's not S tier for sure. I wouldn't even put it as an A tier game. I would probably say it's a B tier game, because it still has a charm. It's still fun. And the final game we have is Yoshi's Story. And of course, I got this game the same year as I got the N64 as well. And I got it after playing Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64. And coming off of those games, going to Yoshi's Story felt like a pretty big step backwards. And the game is really short too. I paid $60 for it, and it was like, I don't know, like less than 10 hours long. I beat it like within 2 days of getting the game. I was actually a little disappointed on the length as well. And some things in the game, I can't decide if I love it or I hate that aspect. Like that song the Yoshis sing. Like, you know the song. Like that. I don't know if I love it or I hate it. It's not in between. It's one or the other, but I don't know which one. But the game itself, it's not a great game. It can be fun, I think maybe the first time playing through it, and you know, it has somewhat of a kiddish charm to it. So to me, Yoshi's Story, boy, I hate to make it the only C tier game on here. And I'm probably as likely to go back and play it as I am Winback. So we'll put it as a B tier. We'll make Yoshi's Story the final B tier game. And so there's our overall ranking of the games on there. You know, pretty good service. I mean, 4 S tier games, 2 A tier games, and 3 B tier games. That's much better rankings than you can say for some of the NES and SNES tier list on there. And so honestly, if you haven't got the expansion pack, I know it's a little more expensive, but it's a lot of fun. And it's really, if you break it up month by month, it's not that much more expensive to have this for the entire year. And honestly, you get some really great games with it. But don't listen to all the negative talk. These games, they play really well on the Switch, and I think you'll probably have a lot of fun with it. If you're like an expert speedrunner, yeah, you might see some more issues, but for the average player or the people who just want to have fun to multiplayer, I think you'll have a great time with the Nintendo Switch expansion pack on there. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, go out there, find a great game to play. Simply have a great rest of the day.